We came in talking about Rusty Bowers. I know you've spent some time with him. Tell us his sort of state of mind.
You know, I met up with him over this weekend here, and he had an event with essentially family and friends. It was like a luau type of event. He showed up with an Aloha shirt on, and he was seemingly in good spirits. And when I asked him, like, I mean, essentially, how is he feeling here? He said at this point, he's just going to have fun with this here. I asked him ultimately come Tuesday night, if he does lose to this Trump-backed challenger, you know, what will he tell me? And I believe we have that sound if we could play it. If you do not win on Tuesday, why will you not have won?
Probably because I stood up. And when they asked me to tell the truth, I told the truth. I didn't go looking for a fight, but the fact that I would break ranks and somehow find what the former president did was unacceptable, that's like I broke some type of taboo. And I did break a taboo, and it's kind of a cultic thing, you know, that you have to be in with the cult, and here's our doctrine, and you can't go beyond the doctrine.
And let's be frank, Nicole, you can't get much more local than a legislative district race here. We have been talking for weeks about what Republican voters took away and what they thought of the damning evidence and the allegations laid out by those closest to Donald Trump through these public hearings from the January 6th Select Committee. Well, this is it. They're going to the polls. Rusty Bowers has a good likelihood of being ousted from office. But then ultimately, not only Blake Masters, but also Kari Lake, Mark Finchem, Abe Hamadeh, who's running for attorney general. And I think to Tim's point, we were talking about the candidates that are not the Trump-backed ones, but the ones that are in second and third place in polling. I mean, just take a look at the U.S. Senate race. Mark Brnovich, he's the attorney general, who you and I have talked about in the past, of Arizona here. He did all he could to prove that there was fraud in the 2020 election, used investigators from the Arizona Attorney General's office to go sniff around and do the best to build up a report showing that Donald Trump actually won. He was not able to do so. And look where he is at. That doesn't mean that he is a part of, you know, I think a mainstream or, you know, pro-democracy wing of the Republican Party here. That's why you didn't see the likes of, you know, Doug Ducey, who voted to certify the election here. He hasn't endorsed in the U.S. Senate race. I had a conversation with former Governor Jan Brewer, Nicole, and we were talking about Kari Lake. She said that Kari Lake is an extreme candidate. And if for anybody that was around 10 years ago in the state of Arizona, if you had said Jan Brewer would be calling, you know, another wing of the party extreme, it's telling you something. And I think that's also why Kelly Ward, who's the current chairwoman of the Arizona Republican Party, I think she said it best last week at the rally as she introduced Donald Trump. She said that she was, quote, a proud member of the Orange Mafia. That was the chairwoman of the Arizona Republican Party's own words.
Vaughn, you're making such an important point, and I can't even think of the right answer. It's sort of like Arizona calling, you know, a summer too hot, because I mean it's hard to sort of put into context how radical you have to be considered radical by someone who was once, nationally speaking, outside the mainstream of the Republican Party. But I want to play some of Kari Lake. I know you've interviewed her as well. This is a little bit of her from a debate on June 29th.
We did not need to wear masks all the way into the summer.
You've called Joe Biden an illegitimate president. What does that mean?
He lost the election, and he shouldn't be in the White House. I believe life begins at conception.
Okay, what do we do about abortion pills? What do we do about...
I don't think abortion pills should be legal. That's a very...
Not in Arizona.
So, Vaughn, talk about where the race stands, where her candidacy stands right now today.
I think Kari Lake is a good case study of, you know, I guess the mainstreaming of radicalization here. I mean, to catch everybody up on who Kari Lake is, you know, just over a decade ago, she donated to Barack Obama. She was a popular local news anchor here, and I've had conversations with those who were closest to her in her life. She has cut off her closest friends and this sort of transformation journey from becoming a Trump sympathizer to a conspiracy theorist to now a Donald Trump acolyte who calls for the jailing of Anthony Fauci, jailing of her Democratic gubernatorial opponent, Katie Hobbs, the jailing of elections officials. She calls me a propagandist. This is somebody who has completely transformed and radicalized and yet could be in charge of certifying the 2024 election here. She is the backing of Donald Trump, the backing of Paul Gosar, the backing of Mike Lindell. Those are the type of figures who she has aligned herself with. And it's important to note she's running against Karen Taylor Robson, who has spent more than $18 million compared to Kari Lake's $3 million. And Karen Taylor Robson may still very not win this race. You know, she has brought in the likes of everybody that she can to try to counter Kari Lake. And yet that may not be enough. She could very well not only be the Republican nominee, Nicole, but we're looking at a strong reality that she could be the next governor of Arizona. Donald Trump lost the state by just about 10,000 votes. And if Kari Lake is able to get those folks out in the rural part of state who hadn't voted before until Donald Trump came along, but also win over so many folks like herself who one time considered themselves moderates or even liberals or, you know, moderate Republicans to come over and embrace her here in the Maricopa County suburb areas, you're looking at a Governor Kari Lake in 2023.